This is the Uprising Revival channel. Welcome to today's show. We all obviously know that every single thing that they do is done by design, right? So we can all look at the stuff going on over in the Middle East, and anybody with a brain can connect the dots with what they've been doing over here in America with the border. And I'm going to get into this story, and I'm going to brainstorm with everybody out there about exactly how they've prepared us for what is going to come to America, even though the majority of Americans don't think it's coming, and they think they call it fear mongering to talk about these things. And what I'm really doing is preparing you mentally for this and making you and hoping you'll realize that any attack that happens on American soil will be from the United States government themselves working with the other world governments against the citizens. It will not be this boogeyman group, but they're now building up that boogeyman for all of us. And remember, everybody's going to become a sympathizer for Bagelville. That's part of what the script has told us. If we go through the stuff that I've read in previous videos, the script has always been told us that these people will rule, that the bagels will not be questioned. We already see that in our society today. You can't question them. So we know that that's the blueprint for it. And we see the herding now of Christians and conservatives into full-on defense of Bagelville and wanting, almost like it's a reminder of the 11th day of September. That's what it feels like all over again, is where we see people again we see undertones and we see stories out there already in the last week referencing how people are going after people who wear towels on their head. I mean, I don't even know what I could possibly call them without the algorithm reading it, but I'll just put it that way because I'm sure the algorithm will promote any talk against that group of people specifically so that there's more trust garnered for Bagelville. So I just want to let everybody know, not about the website, not about my other channel. I know everybody always says that, but I have to plug those things and make sure that people are aware of them because there are new people coming to the channel. But I've been having trouble getting some of the videos uploaded over here. I've tried to do the regular way I do it, where I have the articles and I have pictures in there. Even the last one that I did about the not-so-secret tunnels, and they're getting blocked. So from the time being, I'm going to just use my logo in the videos. I think a lot of people out there like to listen to my video, in the background, or they listen like we're talking on the phone with each other, which is pretty much what my videos are designed to do. It is a podcast in a sense, although there are videos where I do need to show you video and I do need to show you these things pieced together because otherwise they take away what I'm really trying to do here in one sense, right? I'm trying to show you the predictive programming. I'm trying to show you the repetition. I'm trying to show you the narrative. In cases of news articles and stuff, I could just cover it this way where I could tell you what they're talking about without showing you stuff. But in the event that there are videos that I need to use video clips on and do it the way that I've always done it, I will obviously be putting those types of videos on the website exclusively. Anything that they won't let me upload here, I'll put up over there. So I hope everybody out there is okay with me doing the videos like this for now on this specific topic, because this seems to be the only way I'll be able to get those videos up and have them in the algorithm to be shared. And that's what really matters. Because again, when they put a yellow symbol next to it, it means that it's going to be a shadow ban video. It's going to be limited, what they call limited ad revenue, which just means that they're suppressing the video because they don't want people to see what's in the video. And the only way to get that removed is to have some human manually review it at YouTube. And I've done that in the past. And what ends up happening is the entire channel then gets flagged because then you have human beings seeing the video and then they automatically will flag your channel as inappropriate. They'll demonetize it and put you in the shadow ban bucket. So I can't have them review the videos. So when I put them up and it gets a flag, that means it's automatically kind of worthless for me to put them up live because it means that nobody's going to see it, even the people who are subscribed to the channel. So just letting you know that moving forward, I'll still try to mix in some of my content, when I show you music videos, et cetera, where I can actually show you that stuff. But just so everybody knows, let's see and find out if this is a way that I can protect the channel and protect the message. And I hope it's okay with you guys who just listen. I'm sure a lot of you wouldn't mind and don't really care. So, okay, let's get to the story. Enough about the channel. So the headlines out there about the hummus attack and how it's fueling conservative concerns about border security amid migrant crisis. Now we're starting to see the whole purpose of it. I told everybody, and everybody out there with common sense should realize that the narrative that the right wing, always listen to the alt-right narrative, because that narrative is the narrative they're allowing out there, and that's a herding narrative. What have we heard about the migrant crisis and why they're allowing people in? Common sense would say, why would anybody, no matter what affiliation they are, why would they want people to come in here unaccounted for, who are running amok, who are looting stores, et cetera, et cetera? Well, they've used people and herded people that with the mindset that liberals and Democrats in politics want those people to come in because supposedly your vote counts. Thus, the people coming in will always vote for Democrats, right? That's what they've told us, and that's what the narrative that the right-wing media has given over the years. That couldn't be further from the truth. Anybody with common sense knows your vote doesn't count. If you think your vote counts, you're just a part of the game, and you're getting played like a fiddle. And it's easy to see that, right? Because the narratives that are out there are the narratives they allow to be out there. And this is how you herd people into total human control. They believe that they're under free will. They believe they have the ability to do these things. They believe that their vote counts. They believe that some other human being who's worth millions and billions of dollars is going to come in and save them from this one-sided wicked government where only one side is wicked and not the other side. It's almost like, well, when you talk about the secret societies, how do people not look at the conservatives and realize that Yale and all these other Ivy League schools that these guys come out of, like George Bush, et cetera, all are members of secret society. So you realize that they have control of the entire system, and now they're using it to hurt people. So we heard the story in the narrative that all the conservatives and the MAGA and the right-wing people talk about is they're doing this so that the migrants can come in and the migrants are going to flood the polls and your vote and all this stuff's going to get messed up. No, they're doing it because they want you to think it's for that reason. Not for the reason that I've talked about, which is obviously so they can create what? A massive false flag in this country. And they'll blame it on that. So conservatives will blame it on liberals instead of blaming it on the entire government. But the Republican people in Congress, of course, pretend like they care about the border. But nobody does anything about the border. Why? Because it gives them the excuse now. Now with everything going on over in Bagelville, the excuse, because remember, who ends up showing up as the biggest sympathizer and supporter of Bagelville? The West does. America does, right? Because here in America, the Christian church is completely deceived by it, and the Christian church will completely support it. So when something happens next, instead of pointing a finger at Bagelville, because they could never believe that they would do that to their own people, just like some of the people don't believe that our own country was behind the event that occurred on the 11th day of September, these people are going to completely get hurted. And now we're open for a potential attack here on American soil. That's how this works, right? Now that this boogeyman has risen over there, we've all been looking at boogeyman, right? With the narrative of the boogeyman in Russia and the boogeyman in China, the open border thing doesn't really fit too well into that because they can literally just pull their ships up. They could do all sorts of things. I mean, we know that they let them fly the spy balloon. They continued to blow that story out of proportion, even though, I mean, it should have been blown out of proportion. It's ridiculous. But they tried to justify in the mainstream media why we didn't blow the thing up. And it just shows you that they've been setting people up little by little for something to happen on American soil. Now this event over there, with America being portrayed as a sympathizer at Bagelville, will be very easy for them to use the excuse that the boogeyman of the past, the Al-Qaedas of the world, all these organizations, these militant groups which are funded by the Central Intelligence Agency here in America, by the Mossad, they all work hand in hand. That's what they all do, okay? They're all just in these separate countries doing the same exact thing, going after the citizens, making up fake conflicts and fake wars to divide people and then herd people and at the same time kill people and destroy people and get away with it. So we have to all look at this narrative now with the border because now they could just easily create a massive false flag here and say that it's the boogeyman from over there coming here to take down America because America supports them. And all we need is one thing of a couple of stories day after day of how the Americans or how the U.S. military is now over there protecting Bagelville. And then they'll say, well, everyone here will be like, it's the right thing to do. And then boom, something hits over here. They blame it on the boogeyman over there. And then, of course, everybody in America wants to go to war with the boogeyman when in reality they should realize that it's their own government who's behind it, responsible for it, and is using it as a mechanism to depop everybody as well as herd everybody. So I think that narrative everybody needs to look at now because the right-wing media is starting to talk about, are we safe? Are we safe here after what's going on over there in Bagelville? I'm starting to get worried. This is all Fox and all the other News Nation, all these other fake alt-right outlets. You think, I mean, anything that's on the TV, it's amazing that there's like the alternatives, like Newsmax. They're like, there are alternatives to the, the controlled media. I mean, like, do you think I could start my own television channel? Just say I found a briefcase and it had $1 billion in it. Do you think I could call up, Cablevision or Comcast or any of these places and be like, hey, or Time Warner and say, hey, I have $1 billion. I'd like to start my own TV channel where I'm just talking for 24 hours and put it on cable. No, that's not how it works, but nobody thinks of how it works, right? Everything on there is controlled. They would never allow any of us to talk about any of these things, especially when you're calling out the entire, system in general, not just the system, but the people behind it in general. You can forget about that. So now we're seeing really the big mechanism here, the hurting of the right, because it's all been about the brainwashing of the left. And the people on the right have all been looking around going, we're the ones awake. Those people are hive-minded. We're not. We see the New World Order. We see this stuff. And they don't even realize who's behind the New World Order. It's the people that they're currently supporting and about to support even more. Because the more sympathy that gets built up, the more emotional trust and support these people will put into Bagelville. So now we're going to see potential for, of course, what's going to come out of this, which is World War III. You will see the involvement of Iran. Then you will see the involvement of what, remember some of those videos I did? I don't know if everyone remembers. I don't expect you to. But one of the other narratives that was out there was about this superpower being formed with China, Russia, and Iran. Right? Oh, they're getting together. They got more money. They got more military. Well, what do you think the narrative is there for? Because that's going to be the boogeyman that eventually annihilates this country. Now, obviously, it's going to start with cities. So people out there that don't, if you live in a city, you shouldn't be in one in general because there's no resources there for you. And it's just, you're sitting ducks in a city. And that's really by design. I believe that's really why they've herded so much of humanity into cities. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that as well. But the cities is where a lot of this stuff would start. Now, it doesn't mean that they won't be able to use other means to herd people. Obviously, we know they use weaponized weather, etc., to start destroying homes and herding people into areas that they want them herded into. But this would obviously all start with major false flags around cities. And that's not me fear-mongering because people out there go, oh, you fear-monger. You get all the, well, I'm not fear-mongering anyway. I'm trying to have people prepared. People need to be mentally prepared. Yes, we're not of this world. But at the same time, if you're somebody out there listening and you have a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 10-year-old, okay, do you want to just be a sitting duck and allow your kids to be sitting ducks for them? Or do you want to prepare in a way that you can actually come out on the other side of this? Which is very, very important. I feel like that is something that's been called upon me. And I don't say that because I care about the flesh so much and I want to be here. I don't think that this war is anywhere near over. And I think this is going to happen in phases. And I'm talking about this spiritual war that we're all dealing with here on earth. I think that there's a lot more for Christians left to do. Christians who come out of what's going to occur. And of course, great deceptions that Christians need to wheel themselves through. They need to navigate through it. They need to have awareness. They need to be around Christians who understand Scripture. Not Christians who just show up to church on a Sunday so they can stand there and people can see them there so they feel like their social status is, oh, they're a great person. They showed up at church when they're daydreaming, most of them 9 times out of 10. And if you ever bring up anything negative to them, they put up a wall. They don't talk about prophecy. They don't talk about any of these things. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm not saying those people aren't saved. I'm not saying that they're bad Christians because of that. What I'm saying is that they're unprepared Christians. And the Bible is preparing us. It's a blueprint to prepare us for what is coming. Why would God give us a blueprint and prophecy and show us these things and tell us what is to come unless he was trying to prepare us for what is to come? Can anybody make an argument against that? Can anybody out there sit there and say, well, it's because he wanted us to walk around and smile and take selfies and go to cupcake sales at our local church and then talk about all wonderful, positive things? I must have missed that in the Bible because I didn't see it anywhere. Okay, and if people want to put, they point to specific verses all the time because they can't handle the negativity. Like the most common thing I hear on my channel is, love thy neighbor as thyself. And again, I'm not going against anything in the Bible. Of course not. I do believe all those things. But you don't use those things as a way to not point out the actual enemy in the room. You don't do those things to say, well, let's justify these people doing this stuff to little kids. And let's justify these people slaughtering innocent humans all over the earth. No, I don't think so. Okay, God gave us a blueprint to prepare for all of this that is happening right now. And it's only going to get worse. Think about what we all are dealing with, the stress of all this stuff, the anxiety of knowing these things, right? It's only going to get worse. I try to put that in perspective for myself about having a channel on the internet that gets taken down. It's nothing in comparison to what is coming, right? It's just frustrating. That's all. We're all frustrated, but things are going to get worse. So as far as food, as far as water, these things that we're hearing, these stories that we're hearing are all coming to America. America has to crumble for this new world order to be in place. This is a country that represents freedom. This is a country that would never stand for a new world order. And that's what it's always represented. Now, they may have brainwashed half this country into thinking that a new world order is great and wonderful and it's going to be a utopia. That's because they're all brain dead. So they know the rest of us here they have to take out. We're talking about people who are armed. We're talking about Christians. We're talking about who they view as the enemy. They view anybody who follows and believes in Christ as an enemy. That's what this is all about. So the thing going on over there in Bagelville with a different religion, right? Let's just say the Muslims. What's going on over there is a precursor for us. That's what it is. The way that they've turned humanity against that specific group of people is exactly what we're seeing happen on the back end to Christians, right? Think about how the perception people have of them, right? Because of the event on the 11th of September, which they had nothing to do with for the most part. Doesn't mean their intel groups weren't involved in it, because all the intel groups are. But we all know that Bagelville was really behind it. Anybody with common sense knows that. And all somebody really has to do, if they don't even want to go into deep detail about 2 planes blowing up a tower, et cetera, is just look at the celebration of those people on the rooftop. That should be enough to make people suspicious. These people despise us. They despise the fact that we have freedom, and they despise the fact that this country is really built on the faith of the civilians and the people of this country have in Jesus Christ. This is a Christian nation. They do not want that. And what they're doing it's not just about killing Christians, it's about deceiving them. It's about misleading them, because that's a win for them. Just as much as killing Christians, deceiving them, they probably enjoy more, leading them away from Christ and into antichrist worship without even realizing it. So these are all things that are happening around us, right? And these are all things we have to keep in mind. Not look at this stuff as fear-mongering. Look at it as a narrative. These are stories, right? People just hear this stuff and they're like, oh, okay, wait, now we're going to announce the hummus food is going to come and attack us, et cetera, et cetera. And they don't realize that our own government, they don't think, who funds these people? Who built all their underground tunnel systems? Who did this? Who did that? Oh, they just did it on their own and no one was paying attention. They allowed them to do it. I mean, give me a break. You can't even take a leak in this country, which is supposed to be a free country, without them knowing about it. You think these people were building underground tunnels for years and years and nobody knew and stopped them from doing it and said, hey, we're going to have to go in and take care of these people because they're building an underground tunnel system? Give me a break. All the intel agencies obviously are aware of this and in on it. That's why they've never stopped it from happening. So the narrative is going to continue to be this now at the border. You're going to hear more and more of this. And it's not just to make people fearful. It's to make them accept a potential attack on American soil. That's what it's about. So you're going to hear these stories and people are going to go, oh, they're just trying to get everybody here worried in America that what's happened over there is going to happen here. And all these people are all so confident that nothing will happen because somehow they still view our country and our military as it was 30 years ago or 20 years ago even. They don't, the liberal people are like, we're perfectly fine. We have a great military. And it's great that they're accepting pronouns and all this stuff because they think that that's actually what, should be done. And they think that's actually improving the military. They don't realize the only reason they tell you about pronoun training in the military, et cetera, is so that you are expecting this to happen, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, right? We see this stuff and we're consciously expecting something to happen. They're telling us something's going to happen. And they're telling us on purpose by telling us about pronoun training that our military is unprepared to do anything, that our military is weak, because anyone with common sense could see that, because these things that they're doing are completely ridiculous. They're unimportant. And they're pretty much just, they're pampering to the insane people, so to speak. So the border story, it's been here over and over. It's all we hear about. It's just making people mad year after year, right? That's all we've heard since Biden got in. 2 years of all the stuff coming across, all this happening, people coming in unaccounted for, right? And all we've thought about, at least not me and you, I'm saying we, the people of this country have thought about, is that this has something to do with the voting system. Oh, the voting system. And then they're going to, somehow win the election because all these paper ballot voting. That's the narrative they've wanted out there. Now the real reason is being revealed because now they have the boogeyman for the false flag bigger than Russia, because nobody was ever going to believe, oh, Russians are coming in from the border, right? Everyone's just been fearful of Russia's military and China's military. Nobody's been thinking, oh, there's going to be militant Chinese groups running in our streets. But everybody could visualize, because of all the predictive programming and all the mind control they pumped into our heads, everybody could visualize a group of people with towels around their heads running in the streets, killing people, running amok, right? So all they do is they dress up their secret agents, just like they did on the 6th day of September, 6th day of January, excuse me. And this time, they'll have people that look more the part for this, this type of an attack, and they'll run their attack right into the ground, run us right into the ground, I should say, with the attack. They'll blame it on the borders being down so that everybody accepts the attack and thinks it's really the boogeyman, instead of realizing there's a reason our government has had the borders down. But they'll say, well, it wasn't so we get killed. The Democrats say it wasn't so we could get killed. It was just, because we're nice and we're trying to help people out. It's the American dream, right? All the stuff they keep trying to sell you on. It's to make you believe the sabotage that is coming. It is to beat it into your head that it's possible for it to come. And now they have reasons for it. and they have excuses as to why it happened, so that nobody here will rise against government, instead will rise against other people of the different political party. You understand? And that's how this all works. And this will continue to keep people in the left and the right and this division. You're even seeing that herding mechanism, which is insane. Now, the liberal media obviously supports Bagelville. I mean, they're run and controlled by Bagelville, but they're trying to portray themselves as sympathizers for Palestine. That's by design too, because the conservative media is getting even angrier, and the conservatives are getting angrier because they feel there should be no sympathy for them because they're clueless as to Bagelville and who they are and what they do. Because they look at the Bible and they just see the word in there. Thus, they think that that means that that land over there is those people, and no matter what they do, we should allow it. Those people could cut people's heads off, and we're supposed to allow it because God says. Why would God ever say that that would be okay? Why would our God ever say, oh, these people are doing this stuff, you better support them, even if they're cutting off cutting off the heads of infants? Huh? Because you're not interpreting it right. You're not interpreting what the Bible means when it's saying bagels. Okay? You're not interpreting it correctly. It's clear as day. And you're not supposed to support this type of stuff, especially when you realize, if you have a common sense, you should realize who the New World Order is. And those things I read about World War III from Pike and from Karl Marx in my previous videos today, or, whenever you're watching this, but my previous videos, you should watch and examine and think about it, because it all leads back to them. Everyone keeps going, it leads back to the Vatican, it leads back there. It leads back here. Okay? Because the people there, while they might be working with the Vatican, they aren't who they claim to be, and they're completely protected. You can't even question. You can question the Vatican, right? What's their purpose? Many purposes, right? We see the destruction of Christianity, what they're allowing into the church, how they're lukewarming Christians through the Vatican, through the Pope telling people we need to accept the packing of fudge, all this stuff. So we could see their role in it. But all roads truly lead back to Bagelville. So keep an eye on the story about the border and how they continue to beat this into people's heads so that they're prepared for something to happen on our soil, because that is what's coming next, whether anybody wants to believe it or not. I thank you all for being here. Again, I'll be doing the videos on these topics with the logo in the background, so hopefully you're just listening. Or if you want to stare at the logo, I guess you can, but it's better than nothing, I suppose, at this point. But it's definitely different for me not being able to edit all the clips in. So those types of videos I will continue to try to get up, but anything blocked will be going directly to the website, uprisingrevival.com. It's $2.99 a month. It is ad-free. And again, the forum itself is very active. It is worth it. Just you could spend hours in the forum, let alone the videos, and my entire library and archive of videos is up over there. Not every video, but I'm getting to every video, having it up, which is thousands and thousands of videos. So that'll all be available over there as well for anybody that might be new to who I am or what my work is, or if you heard my voice somewhere else and think I'm someone this or someone that, or who this, what, yeah. Well, that's all over on the website. I have a lot of content. I'm not just a new YouTuber, wink, wink. I thank you guys for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always, and your families.